Be sure to go to flipsidegaming.com and use promo code 6 for 10% off on orders over $10. Do the same at the Grizzly Gentleman, same promo code, 10% off at checkout. Both of these are fantastic deals, and they help support the show. What's up, Planeswalkers? What are Planeswalkers? Planeswalkers are Magic the Gathering cards, which are like enchantments in that they'll stick around. However, you can activate them. They come with counters attached, and you can attack them. Target them with a number of spells. Are Planeswalkers too good? Many people might say that they are. I'm not calling out anyone named, nor am I subtweeting anyone. I am. That said, I'm someone who doesn't think that Planeswalkers are inherently too strong. I think that, like many other card types in the game, they have their various knobs that they can twist and turn over at wizards. And I think that, more than anything, Wizards is just bad at twisting and turning knobs. I think that, in general, the fact that you can attack Planeswalkers makes them quite squishy in some cases, or they have the potential to be squishy. They sometimes can protect themselves, they sometimes can't. You can only have one of the same name on the field at a time, so they do have the legendary restriction. But in general, are they too strong? In order to figure that out, I decided to do this. Now, I'm going to rate these on several axes. I don't know why I said several, two. And that is power level, as well as the ubiquity, the generalizability of the Planeswalker's effects. So we're going to go over here and say strong. So we'll have strong on this side, and weak on this side, right? Let's go ahead and look for something that's pretty easy to identify here. Jesus Christ, there's so many Planeswalkers. I tried to not have any of the there we go. I tried not to have any of the Planeswalker deck Planeswalkers in here because those are generally too not strong. But here we have one of the Jiang Yangus, and apparently I will need to actually hold up a Scryfall for all of this because I can't see it on my tiny screen, which probably means that you can't see it, but at the same time, there's not really anything I can do about it, alright? Okay, so this Jiang Yangu is definitely on the weaker side, and that's because this is one of the ones that are technically still a part of the... Okay, good, it doesn't go over it. Still a part of the Planeswalker decks. These were for the Chinese release decks that included Jiang Yangu and Mu Yangling. And this one, it's a 5-mana, 4-loyalty walker. Its abilities don't do all that much. So I just wanted an example of a weak Planeswalker. This is on the definite farthest weak end, and this is where you're going to find essentially all of the... words are hard. Words are incredibly difficult. Planeswalker deck, Planeswalkers. And then we're going to go ahead and put this over here. Here we have a strong Planeswalker. We have not yet deciphered this. I mean, I did mention it earlier, but shut up. And we have Jace the Mind Sculptor. Jace the Mind Sculptor is widely known as one of, if not the strongest, frankly... There are debates, depends on the format, really. One of, if not the strongest, Planeswalkers in the game, right? But that isn't really getting into the general nature versus the narrow nature that Planeswalkers can have. And I'm of the view that if they're going to be here, they need to be here. But if they're down here, they're allowed to be over here. So before we reach back at Jiang Yangu and Jace here, I'm going to look for one of the Planeswalkers that is super, super narrow. Where are you? I wish these were alphabetical. I put them in alphabetical when I had them, and of course they're no longer alphabetical because the game hates me. Alright, so this is Nissa Ravine. This is the first Nissa that was... Was this the first Nissa? This was not the first Nissa one, because I'm talking about... This is Nissa from Zendikar. This Nissa from Zendikar is incredibly narrow. Not only does she only care about elves... My mic is fuckied. There we go. Not only does she only care about elves, there is a specific card that one of her abilities references. Her +1 has you go grab a specific card called Nissa's Chosen. She also, well, we'll not get to that just yet, but this is a very narrow card. So let's get a very general card, right? A card that doesn't necessarily tie you into any one strategy, really. And I think the closest one is probably going to be Karn. This Karn specifically, because this Karn is, like, technically his first and second abilities do, or his first two abilities and his last ability do kind of work together. But in general, right, you don't need to play a specific strategy. Some of the other Karns, they care about having artifacts and stuff. This card doesn't. This card just does some exiling and then can restart the game, right? So very much general, very much narrow, right? Those are the kind of the axes that I consider these cards on. So let's talk a little bit about the card that we already have up here, the OG Jengengu. This card is actually relatively general, right? It cares a little bit about the power of creatures you control. It cares a little bit about lands. It cares a little bit about making Mowu, but for the most part, this is a pretty general card. Jace, on the other hand, Jace, he does not care. He can Fate Seal, he can draw cards, he can bounce a creature, and he can exile your opponent's library. Although technically some of these things like do have to do with libraries and whatnot, they don't require you to play into specific strategies in order to get the maximum value out of them. He's actually quite general. Maybe not the most general, because one of the things that I do take into account for generalizability, whatever, is the colored pips. And that's something that we're going to be mentioning with some of the Planeswalkers here, is that Jace, I'm not going to put all the way at the top, because he does still have 2 blue pips. And although, especially in the majority of formats where he is legal, the mana cost isn't actually that much of an issue, it is still technically a requirement that you do have to jump through hoops to make sure you can cast him. That's why I put him there. Then we'll talk a little bit about these two that we put onto the general and narrow axis. Karn is pretty strong. Right, he's one of the most general, and he is pretty strong. But I don't think I'm super comfortable putting him all that far over. And some of you might be confused as to why. Some of you might be saying, Karn is like one of the strongest Planeswalkers that you can cast in Tron decks in Modern and possibly other places. For what it's worth, I'm not Nizahone Magic, although I would love to do a collaboration with him someday. I don't know all of the top 8s for this. I didn't do the research. I don't know if he's still in vogue, whatever. Some might say he's one of the strongest things that you can grab off of that. But that's not really Karn's fault, right? If you consider Karn as being a card that you cast for 7 mana, even if you ramp a little bit here and there, you get it on, on turn 6, turn 5 even, maybe. The ability, the card isn't super duper strong. Like, he's not redonkulous. He's strong, do not get me wrong, and I think he's probably going to be, right at the midline. Because he does plus himself very high. Starting at 6, plussing all the way to 10 is very good, but once again, it's a 7-mana card. The main reason that this card is so incredibly good is because in Magic, you just cheat the mana, and who cares? Mana cost is meant to be a barrier, a gate against the strength of these cards. But when you have cards that are lands that can just tap for 7 mana precisely when they see each other in play, this card becomes a little bit better. Playing this on turn 3 is very different than playing it on turn 7. So, for that reason, generally speaking, I think this card is around there. Nissa is very sad because she starts off at 2. She has 2 green pips, sure. So for what it's worth, the number of pips is not just for general narrow, it's also for strong and weak. Usually if a card has more pips, it's going to be a little bit more weak, just innately because it's a little harder to cast, regardless. Her +1 can get you a decent creature onto the battlefield. It's a 2-mana 2/3, I think. So, being able to have a 4-mana +1 that gives you a 2/3 is not bad. Except for when they're all gone. You're playing... Well, I guess you wouldn't be playing... They wouldn't reprint this. I mean, they wouldn't reprint this regardless. But they wouldn't reprint this without the other card. But for some reason, you have lost the ability to get any more of these. +1, you gain 2 life for each elf creature you control. Now, obviously, you're going to be playing this in an elf deck. However, instead of playing Nissa, you're almost always going to rather play a different elf. Especially considering you don't need to be playing Nissa's Chosen depending on the type of elf deck you're running. And then the last one, the ultimate, which is a -7, by the way, on a Planeswalker that comes in with 2 loyalty, you can get any number of elves, which is very powerful, but generally speaking, when addressing the power level of Planeswalkers, most people don't seem to care all that much about the ultimates, and so I'm not going to either, because I am generally coming from this from a perspective of constructed, like 60 card constructed, all formats essentially, but kind of the mainstays, if you will. And it's just no, stop it. Just very, very, very weak. It just doesn't do what you want it to do in the narrow type of deck that you want to do it in. So then we're going to essentially get to some of the other walkers, and I'm actually going to do this in alphabetical order, even though the stupid system did not want to keep it that way. And the first one we're looking for is Ajani, Adversary of Tyrants. Where are you? There you are. That is not you. Boop, there we go. Ajani, Adversary of Tyrants. 4 mana, 4 loyalty. Decent. Can -2 to immediately get a creature back. CMC 2 or less. Alright. You get a counter. You can get a cool emblem. But once again, we're not going to care too much about the emblems. This card is relatively narrow. It has 2 pips, 2 white pips. And it does require you to be playing a strong number of creatures, but also a strong number of creatures that have to be a certain CMC, right? The second ability requires you to have some CMC 2 or less from your graveyard. So it is it's pretty narrow, right, in that regard. But it is pretty good at what it does. Being able to get back any specific part, key card in your white weenie decks is quite nice, and being able to increase your clock by putting 2 extra power on the board with the +1 is quite nice. Is he Karn strong? No, but he is a little bit stronger than not. Next up is actually a Johnny Collar of Pride, but I guess I'll talk about Johnny's Strength of the Pride because I'm stupid. You can gain a bunch of life, but it's based on the number of creatures and planeswalkers. Creatures and planeswalkers you control. You can make Johnny's Pride Mate, which is awesome, but it only really makes sense in a life gain deck. And then, of course, the ultimate is actually going to matter here because it's a 0 ultimate. And that's one of the types of dials wizards can use, is the type of ultimate or third ability that they give their planeswalkers. And some planeswalkers, of course, don't have third abilities, but the fact that they're like uncommon, blah, 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 who cares? Because this planeswalker doesn't have a true ultimate, that does technically affect its strength in a number of ways, but it's too complicated for me to go into precisely. I just realized that. There we go. You all couldn't see all of the things. But in general, right, this is a generally narrow card. You're going to want to have enough cards that are going to get you to high life totals, and you want to keep gaining that life. You want that life to be super important. So this is pretty narrow. I would say it's generally more narrow than Adversary of Tyrants, because playing creatures, right, in a mono white deck, that's not that hard. Playing creatures that specifically want life gain, also not that hard, but it is technically more niche. So I'm gonna make it a little bit more narrow. And then in terms of strength, for what it does, I think it's stronger than Adversary of Tyrants. Next up, we'll have a Caller of the Pride. Now this one is kind of trash, if I recall correctly. I've not played with it in years. There's so many planeswalkers. By the way, this video is going to be however long it's going to be. You can go to the ends if you want to hear my final thoughts. Jesus Christ. All right, you know what? I'm going to go through. I'm going to put all of the Ajani's up there. You're an Ajani. You're an Ajani. This will make it very slightly easier. I'll pause while I'm doing this. I don't know what I'm thinking. And we're back. All right, we got all the Ajani's. First up is Caller of the Pride. This one, cool, makes 1/1 counters. It's a 3-mana foil or 2 walker. That's decent. Is 2 pips, sure. -3, not necessarily the best. It is a lot more general than this one. And you might be saying, like, how? It still cares about having creatures, and it still, like, makes creatures. The ultimate, for what it's worth, doesn't matter. But it is definitely more general. And the reason for that is, yes, it cares about creatures, but it doesn't force you to play a certain type of creature. And so this is on the more general side. Probably still... probably about here-ish. And the strength for what it does is not terrible, right? 3-mana planeswalkers are, generally speaking, decent if they come in with a certain amount of, you know, plus or a certain amount of loyalty. This one though can't protect itself innately. Obviously, it can give one of your creatures a 1/1 counter on it, and it can even give your creature you know, flying and double strike. But those are aggressive abilities, right? You're not going to necessarily be protecting this Planeswalker, so that is a little bit of cut against it. Now, if I recall correctly, which I probably don't, I think this card did see play in Standard a little bit, but I can't remember how much. In general, though, this doesn't feel like super strong. So I'm gonna put it like a little left of this. Then we have Goldmane. Goldmane. Nope. Stop it. Goldmane. There we go. Goldmane cares about gaining life. Cares about having creatures. That's pretty much it. This is like, I mean, this is not a narrow Planeswalker, nor is it super general. I mean, I guess it is pretty general. It doesn't need anything. It needs creatures, but it doesn't need for you to have life gain synergy. I think I'm probably gonna honestly put it like on the line, which is cool because this is one of the Lorwyn 5. I think this is one of the more balanced ones. Now, for what it's worth, right? It also can't protect itself. It kind of can because it can give your creatures vigilance with the -1, but it doesn't really protect itself. Its ultimate is actually something that you can get to pretty easily, but its ultimate isn't actually going to be that great a lot of the time. And so I think just the application for this is a little bit worse than this. Ajani, Mentor of Heroes. Mentor of Heroes cares about having creatures. Cares about having Aura's creatures or Planeswalkers. And then can gain you a stupid amount of life. This card is relatively narrow, right? Probably about between these two Ajanis. And it's decent at what it does, but once again, doesn't protect itself. It can give you card advantage, which is actually quite nice. It is just plus abilities in the ultimate, which once again is technically very, very good in terms of getting what you need. So I'll probably put it around here-ish. Now, notice, things are going to be overlapped. I'm really looking at the end of the day for the clusters, right? How clustered they are in certain areas. Do I think he's more narrow than this? Yeah, he like really needs creatures. He's probably about as narrow as this. I think I need to move both of these down, actually. I think they overlap. Do I think this is stronger than this? Yes, I do. All right, next up is Great-Hearted. Great-Hearted I actually really like the design of. And so here we get into our first Planeswalker that has a static ability. And this static ability is fine, right? Your creatures have vigilance. Cool. Ajani has shown to very often be about the creatures, right? He's here to buff others. That's I mean, Ajani's thing. He's also about buffing you and gaining you life, which is fine, I guess. You get to gain some life. And he's actually into buffing other Planeswalkers, so his -2 is also quite nice. He's not incredibly narrow, but nor is he really general. Like, you can't just plop this into any deck. You either need to be playing creatures, or you need to be playing Planeswalkers. The +1 helps you, so it is kind of ubiquitous. The static ability of Vigilance isn't necessary to make Ajani all that great. What you really like is the -2. Either in a Planeswalker deck to buff your team, buff your squad, and maybe get ultimate sooners, or in creature decks where you go wide and you get value out of it. So I do think he's less narrow than these, because this one, I mean, you have to essentially just be using, you know what, I'm going to put this down a little. This one you have to be using creatures. This one can be creatures or Planeswalkers. This one can also be creatures or Planeswalkers, but like, I feel like he doesn't rely on them as much. And as for the power level, it's 4 mana for a 5 loyalty walker that can up to 6, and he does pseudo have protection because of the fact that you can he just innately grants your creatures vigilance. So I'm probably going to put him around here-ish, probably on par with this Ajani. Ajani Unyielding, 6 mana Planeswalker, is very difficult. So you might notice a trend by the end of this video in which there are certain thresholds for Planeswalkers, right? A 6 mana Planeswalker really needs to impact the board or impact your card advantage in order for you to consider playing it, right? A 4 mana walker needs to do one of those things, but not nearly as much. A 4-mana Planeswalker is something that you want to snowball over time, most likely. A 6-mana Planeswalker, you need to get something out of it, and now. You see this the most with something like Liliana, Dreadhorde General, which we'll see in a bit. But Ajani Unyielding is 6 mana for a 4-loyalty walker that can impact the board. It has an exile effect, essentially a Swords to Plowshares on its -2. But that means it's a 6 mana Planeswalker that, yes, you exiled something of your opponents, and you're probably not going to be caring about their life total. But now it's at 2 loyalty. Not the best. Reveal its top 3 cards of the library, and put all permanent cards. So this one just needs permanents, so that's also pretty general. Okay. And then you get to the ultimate, which is good. It's very similar to Greathearted, except for the fact that it's weaker because it's on a walker that's just inherently weaker. Now this one, for what it's worth, is more general, and it's more weak. It's around these other Ajani somewhere. All of these things are going to be kind of tentative because I'm not a professional raider. How did we miss Steadfast, dude? I'm so sorry, Steadfast. 4 mana, 4 loyalty. It's a little bit more general just because of the pips, easier pips. Cares about buffing your creature, buffing your creatures and planeswalkers, and then getting an interesting emblem. I mean, it's kind of more of the same. However, the fact that he does give one of your creatures vigilance is nice. I mean, he's just about as narrow as Mentor of Heroes because he cares about creatures and planeswalkers. But in terms of strength, I'm fairly certain he's just like not there either. I think I would honestly rather play all of these before I played this one. And then the last of the Ajanis, aka the first of the Ajanis, and I believe my first mythic ever, is Ajani Vengeant. Now, Vengeant is a much less narrow than most of these Ajanis down here. It stops a permanent from untapping, can Lightning Helix something, and then can blow up everything's lands. This doesn't require anything else. This can be put into a creature deck just to like keep their stuff tapped down so you can aggro them, while giving you some nice reach with the minus ability. Or it can be put into a control deck where you're just constantly hemming them down, staxing them essentially, and then you blow up their lands. It's a very general planeswalker. However, it is more specific than Karn for sure, and it's probably around where Jace is, I think a little lower, because of the fact that you have to, cast 2 different colors for this. It's a little bit less general because Jace, I think 2 of the same pips. Are those more generalizable? I don't know how I feel about that. Regardless, it comes down, can be on 4 or it can be on 1. It doesn't protect itself super well. However, this is another one of the ones where I think they got the power kind of on the nail, right? I think this is about where you want a general power planeswalker to be. If not, maybe you want it to be a little stronger. But this is honestly quite fine with me. I don't think it's too weak for what it does. It has some strong abilities for sure, and I don't think it's too strong at all. It maybe should be over here, and I'm just kind of like rose-tinted glasses because I absolutely love this card, but I'm not sure. This is about where I put it. So now we can see some interesting clusters from the Ajanis. We got a lot of Ajanis here in the care about essentially creatures. They're pretty good at it. And then we have some more general Ajanis who are kind of just general like life gain, kind of buff creatures, but not committing to it all the way. Line over here. Sure. Next we have a one-off with Aminatou. Aminatou can be your commander, so this is kind of an extra ability. However, I'm not going to really factor that into the power analysis of these planeswalkers because I just don't think it matters in terms of how the card actually plays. It does mean it's going to, be around more often. It does technically mean that it's a little bit more protected, but it also technically means that the abilities scale with that fact that you can keep bringing it out. It comes with some card advantage, and the fact that it's a 3-mana walker is quite nice. You can bounce things, so it's looking very general, right? You can just get some draw synergy. You can just get some bounce synergy. Sure, it's actually really general. However, it loses points because it is triple mana. It's Esper completely. If it was just like just a blue card, it'd be real high up. but the fact that it is Esper means you got to put it down a little. The ultimate is kind of wacky, but you're really kind of looking at this in terms of just what she does as herself, and I think she does what she does about as well as these folks, just under super strong. So it's like super strong, just good at what they do, kind of meh, but you'll still play them. Don't play these unless you're in like very specific circumstances. Then we have like they don't need anything, and or they can be put into a bunch of different types of decks. They require like certain card types, but they don't require you to play a certain archetype with that card type. Then we have like requires certain card types, and or requires you to be playing a certain way, requires specific cards, or needs you to be deep into an archetype. So that's that. We're gonna get the Angraths. Oh my gosh, it's Cowfather. Cowfather. All right, Angrath, Captain Chaos. Gets some points for general because of the fact that he has hybrid pips. Does require you to have creatures. Doesn't require you to have specific creatures. Right? It just gives them menace. Right? Cool. Static ability. Only a 2-ability Planeswalker. I think this is our first 2-ability Planeswalker. Yeah. These are uncommon Planeswalkers, and they're meant to be a little bit weaker because they only have minus ability. So this one, -2, it just gives you a creature. And since they don't have any plus abilities, you kind of consider the idea that their minus ability is their plus ability. And what I mean by that is, Angrath does come in and it can protect itself, right? It gives a buff to your entire team as soon as it comes out. I think it's relatively general, but in order to actually get value out of this card, you want to be playing creatures. You don't necessarily have to be playing aggro. It's better if you're playing a mass, but in general, it's around here. In general, haha. As in terms of like what it does, in a Menace deck, it's about here. In a normal black red creature deck, it's probably about here, and that's just because when you're playing black and red, the creature decks you're trying to play are gonna be skewing you towards certain things. So I think this Angrath is definitely left. It's definitely not as left as these. I need to just weaken these a little bit more. Just shift all those over a little. So I can put Cowfather there. OG Cowfather, the best Cowfather. You're forcing opponents to discard cards. You're getting control of things. This is a very general card, right? You don't need anything to work with this. I will say, like a Johnny, it does lose points for being two-colored. More than a Johnny, though, he does kind of want you to be in a certain archetype. With a Johnny Vengeance, you can put this into some sort of Boros aggressive mid-range deck, or even technically aggro deck as like a top end or something, that if you like don't have access to like other better cards at 4, shut up, it's fine. But Angrath really wants you to be in mid-range, or like controlling mid-range or straight control. So he does lose points for that. But the fact of the matter is, your opponent, they just lose life, and you can just steal things from them. Now, obviously, it's better when you can steal something that is going to be sacrificed, but still, Angrath is. I really don't want to show my favoritism. I think I put Angrath like there. Hard stop like there. All right, I'm not gonna pause for Arlen because I saw you a second ago. Arlen and Arlen, cool. See, I did it. I'll do it again. Flippy Arlen is really cool. However, she kind of requires things, right? She makes werewolves, and she doesn't need you to have werewolves, but she really needs you to have creatures, right? Like her +1 on the front side, you need a creature. It does give vigilance and haste, so she can protect herself, and even her 0 does protect herself, which is quite nice. And on the other side, though, you need creatures. She can hit players or planeswalkers to come back, and then of course you have a cool emblem. But the emblem, you need creatures. So this is more narrow than not, because you need a decent amount of creatures to get full use out of her. Probably around this level. That said, for what she does, she's pretty good. For what she does, she's around like there-ish. Probably not better than Adversary Tyrants. Adversary Tyrants pretty good. A little bit better than Men of Heroes. There we go. Other Arlen. 6 mana. as I said earlier, 6 mana, you're I'm using Tier Maker. I've scaled it out so you can't see all of my garbage Jace. My my Google theme is Jace. Shut up. Shut up, I like Jace. It's Jace the Mind Sculptor too, I think. Arlen, 6 mana walker, cares a lot about wolves and werewolves with that neutral ability. And similar to Angrath, you need, with these 2 mana, the 2 ability walkers, you need to get value out of that neutral, right? She makes wolves, sure. She's probably about as narrow as Nissa, actually. But also, she's not all that strong. She can make 3/3s, and she can make 3 of them. But that for 6 mana doesn't impact the board enough. And you might be saying, but Justin, the Liliana that we're going to get to in 1,000 years isn't going to impact the board as much either. Now with her plus, but with her minus, yes. So yeah, she's probably around here with Nissa, unfortunately. Onto the Ashioks. We start off with Ashiok Dreamrender. Now, very similar to Angrath, really easy on the eyes because of the hybrid pips. Doesn't necessarily care about what you're doing, because this Ashiok is very much a sideboard card that can be played in the main deck. This stops your opponent from searching, which is actually quite nice in several different situations, and it can just exile your opponent's graveyard. In order to get maximum value, you do want to maybe be playing some sort of mill strategy. You don't need to, but you maybe want to be playing some sort of mill strategy. So I do think Ashiok is a little bit more general than Angrath, just because of the fact that they can be put into kind of anywhere. And because Ashiok is actually a pretty good sideboard card, I'm probably gonna put him there-ish. Yeah. Ashiok Nightmare Muse. Another relatively general card. They get things to exile themselves, protects themselves, very nice, bounces a thing. You don't have to be playing an exile strategy in order to get maximum value out of this, because the Planeswalker itself can give you that value. So once again, I think this Ashiok is relatively high, probably... Is it more or less general? I think it's a little bit less general than the other Ashiok. It's very strong, though. You know, this is a good option in several decks. So I think it's probably just around there. And the last Ashiok, the OG Ashiok, also saw a decent amount of play. It just the +1 just exiles things from your opponent's graveyard, though. So that is a hint, a little hit to the power. Gosh, I can't speak words. You can get cards back that have been exiled with this Ashiok, so that's cool. And then the ultimate, just don't really consider. So I do think this is, honestly, it is. I think I'm gonna put it around here. This did see play in I think this saw play in control sideboards in the standard this existed in. However, it doesn't do a ton. Do I think it's general, though? How general do I think it is? It doesn't protect itself either. I think it's probably around here-ish. So, somewhere in this general zone. I'm doing this with an 80% confidence interval, alright? We have a single Adversary. Adversary should be around here somewhere. Near the bottom. Or not. Why does life hate me? There you are. Hello, Adversary. Adversary, pretty narrow. Just like these. Less narrow than these Ajani for sure. Probably less narrow than that Ajani as well. It does care about your creatures. Well, it's probably about the same. It can make your creatures better, can give you more creatures, but it doesn't protect itself. That said, this does see play in some white weenie strategies. However, it does lose points for the fact that it can't protect itself. It's probably around here as well. A lot of clusters. I'm probably just I'm probably just bad at this. Where is Calyx? You down here, Calyx? There you are. I knew I'd find you, Calyx. Where did you go? There you are. Jeez. Calyx is the example that I really wanted to get to. Calyx needs you to have enchantments. The +1 needs an enchantment. The -3 needs an enchantment. The ultimate requires enchantments to be played. This is absolutely a narrow card. Doesn't care what type of enchantment. So maybe it's a little less narrow. It's a narrow card. For what it does, it's great. It's everything you need. It's removal. It is what's the word I'm looking for? It's card advantage. And remember, this is on a 4-mana walker. It doesn't have to like win the game on the spot. This is something that you're building with. Right, this is something that you're going to continue working towards. It is a 4-mana walker that goes to 5. We've seen a lot of 3-mana walkers that go to 5. However, I think 3-mana walkers that go to 5 are probably a little bit too strong. That said, Calyx is, once again, one of the planeswalkers that I think are just fantastic. I'm rating it higher than these. I'm rating it higher than these because in the deck, like you build around Calyx. That's why it's in the super narrow category. And then when you use Calyx in those decks, no, I don't care. I don't need to explain myself. We're gonna go to Chandra. I'm also gonna try and speed things up because there are a lot more planeswalkers. I'm pretty sure there's every Chandra from that. Who cares? First up is Chandra Ablaze. Now we have a 6-mana walker who can technically protect herself. Does require you to discard a card. And that card has to be red. Now, obviously, you're playing red already because you got some double pips, but still. The minus kind of windfalls things, the ultimate, whatever. It's more narrow than not. It's also weaker than not. One of the main reasons is because this is a 6-mana walker that really doesn't do all that much. Around here-ish. Then we have Chandra, Fire Artisan, actually quite decent. We see that she does kind of just allow you to play whatever you need. She can be played in a red-based control deck, or she can be played in a more aggressive deck where you just want to keep getting extra value. So in that sense, she is relatively general, and she's also relatively strong. The fact that she has an immediate deterrent, which means that even though she doesn't truly protect herself, your opponent, even if they're playing control, is not going to want to deal with it. It means that you're more likely to see success with it. So I think this is probably around here-ish. Baby Chandra, aka Kid Chandra, starts off as a creature. Now, this is interesting because this one requires you to go through hoops to activate it. So innately, it's going to be a little bit more narrow because of that. Additionally, let's see, it's just 2-damage target player, 2-damage target creature, does things and things. I'm probably going to put her like around, because she does get general points. No, she's pretty narrow because of the deck that she has to be played in. Her abilities on the flip side are narrow, are general, but I think we have to consider her like starting off as a creature, which means you do have to do certain things. She's probably around here-ish. Chandra, Heart of Fire. One of the ones that we got recently. Once again, this is actually pretty general. Very similar space to the rest of the kind of double-pipped walkers. Why is this not? She probably should be like there. This one allows you to potentially get card advantage. She is a 5-mana walker, but she does come down to 5, and she has 2 pluses, which is quite nice. She also protects herself with her nice deal 2 damage to anything. She's very similar to other Chandra. Kind of fine. Yeah. Around here-ish. Teenage Chandra cares about elementals. Can add mana. And can do some damage. She has 3 abilities. They're not that great. Probably play more than that, though. Big Mama Chandra. Ooh, baby. She does technically care about elementals in this, but it's not in the same way that that Teenage Chandra cares about elementals. She can't be countered, which like immediately makes her a lot stronger. She is 6 mana, but she can immediately impact the game, either by her board wipe ability, which is pretty good unless you're going against specifically an elemental deck. She can immediately hit the board and say F you to control decks by putting them on a clock that they can't interact with, or she can hit a specific thing off the board. She is rather general, and I think she's rather strong. Probably should not be putting her in front of Karn, though. Yeah, something like this. I don't know, something like this. Little Kid Chandra. Or is this Teenage Chandra? This is Little Kid Chandra? Like, I don't know. Chandra's Chandra, alright? She cares about red Planeswalkers. She kind of cares about instant sorceries with a specific CMC. Yeah, I mean, she's pretty narrow. She's definitely below this line. However, she's quite strong. We've seen her play in a number of decks, obviously, like Chandra meme decks, but also just the fact that she can work really nicely in the sacrifice decks, the cavalcade decks, etc., etc. I think shows that this Chandra is around as strong as Big Sharon. Then we have Copy Sharon. There's so many Chandras. We have Copy Sharon, also quite general. 1 damage to things, copy some things. She does need you to have instant sorceries, but even her ultimate is super general. The fact that she has a single red pip does mean I'm going to put her around halfway here. She's a 4 mana, 3 loyalty walker that can not really protect herself, so she's going to go around here-ish. Then Chandra, Torch of Defiance, another 4 mana, or 4 loyalty, or 4 ability Planeswalker. 4 mana, comes in with 4, can add 2 red, can do some damage type things and get you a card advantage, can deal some damage type things, and then can get some damage type things. Definitely very general, but also incredibly powerful. I think that I'm fine putting this Chandra in front of this Karn, because of the fact that this Karn, as I said, needs things to be stupid. This Chandra you can just play, and she does whatever you need, baby. Is she as ubiquitous as Jace? Yes. Yes, she is. Yeah, about there. OG Chandra. Chandra Nalar, very, very general. She just does damage to things and players. 5 mana, 6 loyalty to start with does mean that she is generally protected, but she's probably around like there. Yeah. Chandra Pyromancer. Why are there so many Chandras, dude? I can't believe this video is gonna be fucking long. Chandra Pyromancer. Maybe I'm just not gonna explain anything and just put things where I think they should be. That won't be interesting at all. I think maybe I'll talk about some of them and just like cut out some of the ones that just do not matter. She's pretty general, doesn't require you to play anything too specific. She does like you to have instant sorceries, but she's rather general. She is not very strong though, probably around here. Yeah. Then we have 6 mana, another 6 mana Chandra. This one is you make 2 things with haste, you discard cards, and then you get some stuff. She's definitely in the more general place, although you do kind of want to be playing certain types of decks. She's 6 mana. About there. Who's next? What? Fact Daden? Fact Daden, where are you at? Fact Daden. All right. We have Fact Daden. He is cool because of the fact that you can just draw cards, loot, and gain control of things, kind of general. The -6 is very specific. It's a 3 mana walker that can have 4, but it doesn't protect itself. Fact Daden sees some decent play in things like Vintage, where you can steal things because people are playing them more often, but agnostic of that, I don't think Fact Daden is actually all that great. Fact Aiden, I think, is just peeking his head out here, because in general, gaining control of target artifact is very much something that you need specific instances for, specific things that your opponents are doing. I think it's around there. Then we have a couple of Dorettis, a couple of men who got his legs blown off, unfortunately. I don't remember if he was sabotaged or like he was just made an accident. This one, they're going to be pretty narrow because they do care about artifacts quite a bit. In fact, they need artifacts like a lot. So these are pretty narrow. In fact, I might up her just a little bit from narrowness because she needs specific creature types. It's fine. Can protect himself. Comes out. Yeah. Can also destroy things. Does require you to have a thing. So I think this is, it's about there. Other Doretti. It can be your commander, sure, whatever. It is much more general, but not as general. So probably around here. Probably around here. And as for power level, the fact that you can just get certain things back makes me put them around here. just hidden. Come, who needs them? Next up we have Davriel, aka Dabriel. We're gonna go ahead and put Davriel like right in the middle there. Davriel has a very cool effect. However, it does make him a little bit more narrow because of the fact that you're looking generally to put this in a discard deck. Deals damage to things. If you're putting him in a discard deck, he is probably about if you're once again like Calyx, very much where you're gonna want to be. I think it's definitely around there. Then we got loser Domris. So let's see. Domri. We got a Domri. We've got a Domri. And then we've got a Domri. Cool. 3 loser Domris. First Domri really cares about creatures. Really cares about creatures. Now, obviously, going to be less annoying than this, but around the same annoyance as some of these Johnnies. That said, for what he does, he's pretty good. He's seen play in my lifetime, which means not bad. This Domri also wants you to have creatures. However, it's not like as required to have a bunch of like low down creatures specifically. The fact that it's a 4 mana 5 loyalty walker that can immediately get some advantage is quite nice. Giving a spell riot is also quite nice. Very similar place to the other Domri. Now, OG Domri, on the other hand, good old-fashioned 3-mana. I love how I said I'm not going to talk about some of these, and I'm just talking. I'm just talking faster. This Domri also cares about creatures. It's more narrow than this Domri. It's also worse. I think this one's probably around there. Then we got some Dovans. We got 3 Dovans. We're going to dive in to Dovan. I regret nothing. I said what I said, and I mean what I said. We'll put Dovan there, and then we're missing one of these Dovans from Kaladesh. We got any Dovans from Kaladesh? There we are. Hello, Dovan from Kaladesh. So first we start off with Hand of Control. Hand of Control is pretty general, right? Just forcing your opponent to be annoyed. Very, very general here. And he does what he does, and he does it in a really nice way, but I can't really put him all that far. Very similar to Dak, he relies on your opponent having certain things occur. So I think I'll put him around there. Next up, we have Dovan Grand Arbiter. Grand Arbiter cares about you having creatures, specifically ones that have some type of evasion, so probably around here. Lower than her. Probably a little bit lower than this Ajani as well, which is just hiding. Can make Thopters pretty cool. The -7 is also pretty nice. The fact that Dovan can protect himself is quite nice. Dovan probably around here. And then of course 4 mana Dovan. This is gonna get real cluttered real fast. Let's see. Yep, this is a pretty general Dovan, probably around here. I want Dovan back. This Dovan is probably about there. So far, the only Planeswalkers that I could really see having an issue with are like these. Like maybe this entire thing over here. But all of these Planeswalkers that are under this. Okay, you know what? I'm actually gonna exclude this one too. This line so far seems like the strength cutoff. Alright, Elspeth time. We're going to start off with Knight Errant, these cards. Knight Errant requires you to have creatures. Both of her plus abilities require you to have creatures. Her first plus does allow you to make a dude, and she is pretty strong. So she's probably about here-ish. Definitely in the top 10 of strength for Planeswalkers. Not super narrow, but she does require you to have Planeswalkers or creatures. Next up, we have good old-fashioned Elspeth, Sun's Nemesis. She requires you to have creatures, kind of. Her abilities just generally aren't very strong. She only has minuses. She can escape, which is nice. She does make some creatures, but in general, you're not going to be able to do a bunch of super interesting things with Elspeth. She's probably around here-ish. Yeah, probably about there. Next up we have Elspeth Tyrell, OG Elspeth. Is it OG Elspeth? No. Look, I don't know what I'm talking about. She cares about creatures. She really cares about creatures. But she also really cares about tokens. Mostly that's in her ultimate, but her ultimate is something that you can do the following turn, which is why this ultimate specifically is one that I will take into account. That said, during her time in the game, she really didn't do much. And at a 5-mana loyalty, or 5-mana Planeswalker, you're not looking for the same impact that you got with that you get with your 6 loyalty walkers, but she just doesn't necessarily cut it. She's probably around here-ish. Yeah, just a little bit left of center. Elspeth, Sun's Champion. Sun's Champion is quite good. She technically cares about small creatures, both in her emblem and in her minus, but she can be played. Actually, she's normally played in like a control deck, and the ultimate is just like a major win con, and she is relatively strong. She's somewhere here. Is she more general? I think she's probably about there. Yeah, probably about there. Then we get to Masked Lady. Masked Lady, well, also can be your commander, is more narrow, just because she has 3 pips, very similar to Amanatu. However, she needs you to have enchanted things. Not only enchanted things, she wants you to have auras, essentially. So she's very similar to Calyx in that regard. However, you can do some dumb combos with her in EDH, so I think I'm going to put her above Calyx. Freyalise, aka Nick Fury. Nick Fury is not all that narrow. She makes Llanowar elves, and she can blow things up. Then she can draw for a bunch of cards. Her plus accelerates and protects her. I mean, she's probably just gonna be lost in the sauce somewhere. So I think I'm just gonna sneak her, have her peek her head around. She weak or strong? Honestly, she might be around there. Yeah, she's gonna have her peek out, and she's going to disappear. Just so you know. Then we have to get the Garrux. Okay, first up we got what's this newest to Garruk? Yeah, Garruk Unleashed. Garruk Unleashed it's okay. It does require you to have creature cards. Like the plus, you really need to have some semblance of creatures. It's not too bad though. It's not super narrow. When it comes to strength, I haven't. It's pretty new, so it's hard for me to judge it. I haven't seen it in too many places, but once again, it's entering a standard with a standard with a lot of nonsense, and I think it has a lot of potential. And I've seen it from time to time, so I'm probably going to keep it around here, just right of center, because I think that it has more time to shine. We might see it move over quite a bit here. Garruk Apex Predator is a bit of a meme, but it does like all of the things that you want. It murks a Planeswalker, it gives itself protection that's actually really strong, and on a plus can yeet a creature, and then of course you get an emblem with your opponent loses the game. That said, it is 7 mana. It doesn't require your opponents to do kind of anything. This is a very general walker, except it loses points because it is multicolored. It also loses points a little bit because it does cost 7 in terms of general. It's very strong for what it does, but you got to get it to 7. As you can see, it's 7 mana, but it's nowhere near Karn. Do I think it is? It's probably about here, to be honest. Is it stronger than a Johnny Vengeance? It probably isn't. Yeah, probably around there. Then we have some sort of 6-mana Garruk that I've literally never seen anyone play. You require a bunch of creatures. He doesn't protect himself, kind of. You can cheat creatures into play, but at 6 mana, that you'd probably rather just cast the creature. It's pretty narrow, but it's also just not great. I've not seen this card like ever. And that could just be the fact that I haven't seen this card, but still. Garruk Relentless, though, is relatively easy to cast. He doesn't require you to be playing any certain strategy. On the backside, he does want you to have some semblance of creatures because the minus ability and the both minus abilities get value out of you having creatures. But it definitely feels like you could just make tokens with this and be absolutely fine. Definitely around here on the power level. Probably around here on the narrowness, so it's probably around with Dovan, which I think is reasonable. OG Garruk, I think this is OG Garruk. Yeah, this is OG Garruk. Untaps things, makes your creatures bigger. Very similar to this Garruk, a little narrow, a little more narrow than not. But this card saw play in a bunch of different ways, in a bunch of different places. So very much generously costed, but not like too annoying, right? Derek, Cursed Huntsman. He kills things, he makes tokens, and you get a cool emblem. The only issue is that in order to get that emblem, the tokens have to die before Garruk dies. Additionally, 6 mana, often you'll find that there are just better cards to cast for this. It does give you card advantage while you kill things, but you can't -3 twice. You can't kill things twice until you have somehow increased this Garruk's loyalty. So we're gonna probably put him on around here-ish. Around here-ish. It does still require you to have creatures, but he can make creatures himself, so meh. Excuse me. And in terms of power level, probably honestly around here-ish. As much as I hate it. Big Garruk. This Garruk has the pepperoniest of nipples. Makes creatures, cares about creatures and lands, but the triple pips really hurt it in terms of the ubiquity. So definitely it's more around here, and it's a 5 mana 3 loyalty walker, but it does plus to make value. So it's probably very similar, just on this line around there. We have a bunch of Gideons next. Okay, Gideon Parade. We're making progress, I swear. Gideon Blackblade. I've literally seen this card see play, so it definitely is strong enough to be over on this side. Doesn't require you necessarily to be playing other creatures because it is a creature in and of itself. It can't give itself its bonuses, but who cares? Probably around here. Gideon, ally of Zendikar, has the ability to make to become a guy, makes a guy, make some things. I once again have seen this this has seen play in Modern, so it's probably around here. Probably want to do something like this, and then probably creatures you control +1/+1. Probably technically a little more narrow than that Gideon. Sure, Kythian. Kythian technically is a Gideon. Fun fact: Kythian. No. The fact that Kythian's name is different means I have to go to the next page in order to find Kythian so I can make sure I know what he does. I do know that he has seen play. However, he's more narrow because you're typically going to want to be playing this card in something more aggressive, similar to this Chandra. You're going to want to be playing this in a deck that's kind of white weenie. However, that said, I do recall him seeing some decent play, and I think he saw some play in Modern. So I'm probably going to put him around here-ish. Sure. So, somewhere around there. You don't need the specifics. This Gideon, if I recall correctly, is Garbo. Oh yeah, Champion of Justice. Champion of Justice, doesn't do anything. power and stuff equal to the number of loyalty counters. Yeah, like, he scales with the amount of creatures your opponents have, and then, like, after he uses that ability, like, the turn after, then he gets to attack thing. Of course, you can, like, -15 to exile everything but everything but Gideon, but it also exiles your own stuff. This Gideon is not good. It's also kind of narrow, because it cares about what your opponents are doing. This card, honestly, I played the Nissa before I played this Gideon. This Gideon's bad. This Gideon's, like, actually bad. Gideon Jura, like, OG Gideon is fantastic. He suffers similar problems that this Gideon does, except if your opponent doesn't have any creatures, you just turn this Gideon into a person, and you don't worry about it. Can destroy tap creatures. Its plus ability works really nicely into its minus ability. It's probably around here-ish. Gideon of the Trials. Where are you? I see you. Gideon of the Trials is a hilarious meme because as long as you control a Gideon, you can, like, not lose the game, which is hilarious. You prevent damage, so he kind of protects himself, and he can be your own beater. Probably around here-ish. I'm not just trying to fill in the gaps. I legit think that's where he belongs. Then we have Huatli. I swear we're totally making progress, everybody. Why did I do this? Oh, I saw someone on Twitter that I disagreed with slightly. Well, make a fucking video where you destroy your throat talking for an hour. You can't find Huatli. People are yelling at me at this point. I deserve all of the ridicule that I get for this video, dude. There we go. And Huatli. There's 3 Huatlis? Huatli. There you go. I do love Huatli's name, but Huatli. Warrior Poet. She cares about not only creatures, but, like, big creatures. She can kind of protect herself, but she's 5 loyalty walker that comes in at a 5 mana walker that comes with 3 loyalty. So she's not that great. She's somewhere in here. I'm just gonna put things. Sun's Heart, hilarious. Works in a very specific context with your high toughness creatures. Definitely pretty narrow. Probably around here-ish. The other Huatli. Gotta scroll all the way down. This one is a lot better than this Gideon because it scales with your creatures, not your opponents. You can have removal. Technically, she doesn't protect herself, but her +1 ability assumes that you have a lot of creatures. Her ultimate is actually relatively easy to get to. She's probably about in there. And who's next? Jace. Oh, yay. And now that we've gotten to Poster Boy, I can finally talk about one of the potential reasons that a lot of people dislike Planeswalkers, and that is kind of Planeswalker fatigue. Initially, Wizard was thinking Planeswalkers are going to come out, every once in a while. However, Planeswalkers are very popular. I think they're interesting. I like them in general. But when you print, especially the same Planeswalker, a lot, people are going to get a little annoyed. Do I think Planeswalkers are coming out at too fast a clip now? It's hard to say because of the fact that we just got War of the Spark, which gave us a lot of Planeswalkers, especially a lot of annoying Planeswalkers. So it's very difficult to say for sure. I don't think I'll be able to tell until the end of next year. Even though War of the Spark is rotating this standard rotation, I think I need to, like, get a sense of how sets are going forward. That said, we have stupid sexy Jace. Not terribly narrow. You do want to have creatures in order to plus this Jace, but this Jace is also, like, not meant to be super strong. This Jace is kind of a meme Jace. Probably around here, meme Jace. Meme Jace, probably around here. And there's so many Jaces, dude. Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, it's Mill Jace. You have a cool Laboratory Maniac static ability, which means this is just generally going to be a little bit more stronger. You have Draw, can't protect itself, but, generally that's fine. The ultimate isn't necessarily something that's going to matter, because typically you're playing this Jace to Turbo Mill yourself. For those reasons, since you are kind of not interacting with your opponent, it's going to be on a slightly stronger side, but still not super strong. Jace, Unraveler of Secrets. Do we have this on King Arena right now? Was this put into... Oh my gosh, this is legal and historic right now. And I've seen literally none of it. I mean, it's a 5 loyalty walker that can kind of protect itself, but not really. It can scry and draw stuff. Like, it's fine. But it just doesn't do a ton. What's cool is that it's a pretty general Planeswalker. It's probably around here. around there. Look, I'm not gonna get into it. Jace Vince Prodigy is like literally played in a bunch of different formats that it's allowed in, and it is relatively ubiquitous. You want to have a lot of instant sorceries, so I'm probably gonna put it around the line, but it's also just quite strong. I don't know if it's stronger than Elspeth. I don't pay enough attention to competitive metagames right now, and a lot of that is because a lot of them are boring. Jace Living Guild Pact, I'm pretty sure, is trash. You look at the top two, you bounce something, and then you shuffle things in. Yeah, this Jace is pretty general, but it's also garbage. This Jace is bad. I mean, it's a 4 mana 5 loyalty walker, but it's not good. Jace Memory Man is Mill Man. You know, it's like this Jace, except worse, because you can't mill yourself. Like, you can mill yourself with this Jace, but oops, you might lose milling yourself with this Jace. It's also 5 mana, doesn't protect itself, comes down on 4 loyalty. It's probably around here as well. It's actually not narrow, it's pretty, or not general, it's pretty narrow. Probably around this Derek, I'm just gonna put it there. Then we have OG Jace, Jace Bellerin. Jace Bellerin's pretty cool dude. Very general, just about card draw. Technically mills for 20, but that's not the point of this card. The point of this card is just to get some card draw, and it does what it does. Jace, Architect with Cat, looks pretty general to me, but it also no this saw play in standard. I remember this seeing play in standard, so I think I gotta give it at least like this or something. Who's after Jace? Jaya? Yeah, alright, there's not that many Jayas, so Jaya and Jaya. Alright, cool. Jaya Blard. Jaya Venerated, who cares? She's 5 mana for 5 loyalty, but like, who cares? Her static ability requires you to have some red sources specifically, so she is pretty narrow, because she doesn't work with any other source color, so I'm actually going to put her all the way to the bottom of narrow. She can hit anything, but like, who cares? And then other 5 mana Jaya also comes in with 5, except for the fact that this one cares about instant sorceries. Yeah. Also like cost triple red and adds triple red. She's just all that much not the best as well. I think she's a little bit better than this one though. Jang Ingu we already kind of talked about, except for the other one, which is much better than the first version. This Jang does care about creatures, and putting counters on creatures is not super narrow, and he is still probably around here. We got some other Karns. I'm speed racing through this, alright? It's been an hour. My throat is killing me. I want to record more things. I think they're just 3 Karns. We already talked about this Karn. Karn Sign of... we'll talk about this one first. Karn, the Great Creator, is dumb. The fact that it forces your opponents not to be able to activate certain abilities is a bit redonkulous, because you can grab things like liquid metal coating, or the thing that turns everything into Mycosynth Lattice, maybe something like that. And so it has seen play in stupid, in like actual Eternal formats, doing actually dumb things. You can literally play this in. Well, this is still legal in Vintage, right? This card is restricted in Vintage. You can only play 1 Karn, the Great Creator, in Vintage. Black Lotus is restricted. Other broken cards are restricted. The reason this is restricted is because it fundamentally destroys the point of Vintage. And that is just crippling artifacts. One of the things that you might see with the Planeswalker static abilities is either they're kind of niche and you need to play around them in order to get value. And some of them are just dumb. This one is just dumb. It can turn some non-creature artifacts into artifacts. This, like, even if they have a, like a 0 CMC Mox or something, sure, they can't use it, but now you've just killed it for free. So the fact that it can also just grab things from the sideboard, it's pretty strong. It is kind of narrow because you do need artifacts. It's pretty strong. Like, the fact that it's restricted in Vintage means I gotta put it like up there. Karn Sign of Urza. Could you stop, please? The -2 does want you to have artifacts, so I'm going to put it a little low. But in general, this card does just give you some nice filtering and kind of pseudo card draw. Not necessarily super strong. Probably sneak him around in there, just peeking his head out. We got Kashmir. Let's see, we got Kashmir. Kashmir, aka Hermione Granger, makes it so that your opponents are going to have a harder time targeting your stuff. Sure, she can make some wizards, which does mean she protects herself, haha. Is probably going to be in the upcoming school of witchcraft and wizardry, but in general, she didn't see all that much play. She's probably around, probably gonna honestly like around here. Yeah, somewhere around here. Then we got what, 3 Kayas? Alright, we got 3 Kayas to find. Can you find them? Say Kaya. Kaya. Where's Kaya? I love, why do you all let me make these videos? Where's Kaya? Okay, 1 Kaya. 2 Kaya. 3 Kaya. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's fine. I found them. I found them all. Look, 6-mana Kaya. It's nice that she has a hybrid. Your opponent, you can target your opponent's things with hexproof, and she just exiles things. So she is pretty general, but she's also just not good. Yeah, the costing 6 and only being able to exile things twice, not great. This Kaya, on the other hand, the Orzhov Usurper, is real nice. Being able to just hit small things. She does get a bit of a hit because she does need your opponent to care about the graveyard and or have small CMC things, and or you'll need to be able to get some good exile effects in. But at what she does, I think she's probably around here. Very similar to this Ashiok in terms of power level. However, she's a little bit more narrow. But she's not super narrow. I think I'll put her like around the line. And then I think this is OG Kaya. Oh my god. I'm gonna end my life. She does things. Yeah, she's all negative abilities, but she can blink herself, I guess. She's pretty general. This is a cluster at this point. I'm sorry to everyone who's watching this right now. I don't know if she saw play in like the few formats she's in. I'll put her like there, just around Jace. Who cares, dude? Kyora. I hate Kyora so much. She's garbage, and she should be ashamed of herself. Kyora, and Kyora. This Kyora has seen play for sure. Possibly just because of the limited card availability. She does want you to be playing kind of big creatures. I'll put her around there. She wants to be in specific decks, but you know, sure, whatever. Crashing Wave. Prevent damage. She just kind of prevents damage, and you can play additional lands. Pretty general, if you ask me. Ooh, she's a 4 loyalty 4 mana planeswalker that comes with 2 loyalty. I will say another reason I don't like Kyora is that she doesn't look like any of the other Zendikari merfolk. Like, I don't understand. She does not look like them at all. Makes no sense to me. Regardless, she is kind of on the weaker side because of the fact that she comes in with such low loyalty, dude. I'll put it around there. And then the Master of Depths. She cares about creatures and or lands. So she's a little bit more, but like she's still kind of just not great. She can kind of give things vigilance, like there, I guess. Koth, we have one Koth, and he's not doing that well. He's incredibly narrow. You gotta have mountains. He saw play in like the red decks, and you could get to his ultimate relatively easily. He doesn't protect himself very well, which is unfortunate, but he comes with a massive rebate. He's probably going to be around here-ish, though. Around there. This thing. Oh my gosh, Liliana. I'll be back again. Okay, let's start off with the Dreadhorde General, shall we? Dreadhorde General is not necessarily super general because of the fact that to get maximum effectiveness out of her static, you do want to have creatures, but she makes her own creatures quite nice. She has 4 mana planeswalker, but she comes with 6 loyalty. She affects the board really nice, and she can actually get to her ultimate relatively nicely. Probably around here-ish, probably around there. Liliana the Veil. She's play in a lot of Eternal formats. she is not as general as this, probably honestly around the line, because she does want you to be playing a specific type of game where you're able to mitigate some of the losses that you have from the +1. But not all that much. She's probably around there. Baby little Liliana is a creature. She is cool. She does require you to have something die. She does kind of come in to protect herself. Her ultimate like requires you to have things discard. Yeah, she's kind of narrow and also not terribly strong. I do love her, but she's not terribly strong. We have newest Liliana. I believe she is actually seeing play in some other decks. She cares about you having kind of a wide graveyard. Her ultimate like wants you to have things in the yard, like so you don't need to use it. In general, she's just kind of very similar to Dovan, so I'll probably put her around where Dovan is, if not a little bit more general. We're kind of hiding other Garrick, but look, this is a mess, okay? And you'll notice there's a lot of clustering around here, which makes a lot of sense. Why am I making this? What am I doing? Untouched by death. She's very narrow. She cares about specifically zombies. Zombies. She's like there. Probably like there. I'm being a little bit too nice to her, but whatever. This Liliana like isn't really a Liliana because this one cares about swamps and stuff. Kind of narrow like Koth, except a little bit less so. What am I talking about? This is just as narrow as Koth, except she can do like much more stupid things. So I think she's better than Koth. She's probably around there, if I'm gonna be honest. This Liliana, and where are you? OG Liliana doesn't actually care about you having anything. Very general, also relatively strong. Probably around here-ish. Sure, why not? Not that general though. Not that general. There we go. And then Last Hope, she also sees a decent amount of play. I have no idea. I think this is a little bit more narrow, and she's probably around there. Sure. Liliana Death Majesty, I love this card, but she's not technically super strong. She also cares a lot about zombies, so we're going to go ahead and say there. Then we have Lord Windgrace. Hello, Lord Windgrace. This is another one that can be your commander, except this one is Jund. Cares a lot about you having land, so it's very narrow. That says it like he does what you want to do. So you know, like there, sure, why not? Then we have Lucca. Lucca is a part of a combo deck. At least can be a part of a combo deck. Very narrow because of that, but is good at what he does. So we're gonna go ahead and say Lucca is about there. We're just filling it in, baby. Mu Yangling. We got two of the Mu Yanglings. Both of them are sad. This one is the same. Creature can't block. Tap things, draw cards. Yeah, very similar to Jang. Probably more general than Jang. The other one is also like disappointing in the sadness. We got kind of cares about islands with the ultimate. Makes flying things. Generally, it's probably like around here. To be honest, probably like around here somewhere. Probably about that. Then we have a couple of Nahiris. Hiri the Harbinger. Let's see. She's fine. She's very similar to Lucca in that she likes to be a part of combination decks. She can go grab like Emeralds and stuff. Discard. She is more general though. In terms of power level, she's very niche. So I'm gonna put her right in this hiding spot there. Just not to fill things out. What are you talking about? This is absolutely not to fill things out. It's just because that's where she goes. And where is the other Nahiris? All right, this is a Nahiri apparently. This one is trash. This one needs you to have like creatures and equipment. So definitely down here. She also like it's cool she can deal damage, but she has to deal damage to tapped creatures. Honestly, I would rather once again play Nissa. I would say I would rather play her than this, but this. And then the last one is one of the Planeswalker ones, which should be around here. Yep, it's right there. She cares about you having equipment by a lot, actually, but I know for what she does, We'll put it right about there. We got a couple Narsets, not a ton though, so I'm not gonna actually like go through. We got OG Narset. Narset Transcendent. She likes when you have non-creature spells, specifically instant sorceries. Your opponents can't cast non-creature spells. She's kind of narrow. She's also not like terribly weak. She's, you know what? I'm gonna put her. I'm gonna sneak her right in there. Then we've got this Narset. Sees play. She is kind of more narrow because not only does she care about non-creature spells, she is Jeskai, so it's a little bit harder. Very, very similar in terms of power level, but she's probably just occupying the space somewhere. And then last Narset is also not least Narset. This Narset is quite strong because of, once again, that static ability where your opponents just like can't draw cards and you're going to goozle them constantly. She's not very narrow technically. She does require double blue pips, and she has a 3-mana walker for it, but she's just like crushes things. And I think she's probably around here. So you can definitely see some of the skew ones like over here that are very annoying just in this general region. And you'll notice we don't have a ton of weak planeswalkers, and I think that's fine. I don't think we need to have a ton of weak planeswalkers. I think most of the planeswalkers should be around this area. Wait. Yeah, around this area. So far, I think we're looking good. But you'll see that these outliers, though, a lot of them are just fucking egregious. Like, this just crushes dreams. This just crushes dreams, right? We got Lord Nicol Bolas. You all have to agree with what I say about Bolas, or else you're not true fans. Bolas, how many Bolases we got? We got 4? We got 4. Don't you dare judge me if you think, oh, you didn't know how many Bolases there were. Eat my shorts, all right? I've been talking about Planeswalkers for the last hour or something. The music cut out and I didn't realize. All right, Nikki B, Flippy B, kind of general. It's just like a creature and stuff. It's relatively powerful. I mean, it's pretty strong. Put them around there. Dragon God is, I mean, it is like this Nicol Bolas is close to general or close to narrow. But for what it's worth, I think the fact that it is just like a 4-mana creature as well means that you don't need to do hoops around it. The Planeswalkers do need to kind of be down here because they are Grixis and they require you to play a pretty controlling deck. Very, very expensive for what he does. What he does is great, but I gotta unfortunately put him around the line. Nikki B, Planeswalker, where the fuck is Dragon God? Am I blind? There you are. I didn't see you. Planeswalker is really cool. You get to steal things, but once again, very similar to this Bolas, it's just hard to cast. I'm actually gonna put like there. I'm probably gonna have to put this one around there. This Dragon God is a lot better than the others, but it is a bit more narrow because of the casting cost. The static helps, but I don't think the static makes it too strong. I do think it's probably technically weaker than Hiri, because Nahiri, or the Narset, and I think that might just because Narset had better support colors. So I think up around the same area. I think that's probably the easiest thing to do. Nissa, oh god, okay, we have a decent amount of Nissa, so I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I think that's all of the tree hugging hippie losers. First Nissa is Nissa Who Shakes the World. This card is actually quite general. Literally, like, she cares about lands. She technically cares about forests, so I can't put her at, like, super general. But she just fucking ramps you. And the fact that you have lands with other, or you have forests that have other land types, which means that you can tap in a bunch of different mana, makes her even stronger. This card is dumb. No, she's stronger. She's absolutely stronger than that Narset. She's probably actually around here, though. This card. I don't want to talk about that card anymore. We have Kidnissa. She cares about forests as well. So she is, for what it's worth, not all that narrow. She can get you a forest, but she cares about lands. So yeah, that's actually not as narrow. I don't think she was played all that much, though. But I'm gonna put her around here because I can do what I want. This Nissa, Kaladesh Nissa, is fantastic art, I gotta say. and kind of has like balanced things. Return from a card from your hand. Yeah, like this card is so much more balanced. Like, she is general, but she's also not like OP as she's probably just like around here. She does care about lands, so I do have to put her a little bit narrow, but she's just like around here, which is absolutely fine. And who are you? This is Worldwaker Nissa. Is this OG Nissa? I think that's OG Nissa. I don't fucking know. Cares about lands, cares about forests specifically, cares about like basic lands. Bruh, I don't know. She doesn't. She kind of protects herself, but not really. We're gonna put her like there. Plant Nissa. She puts plants on the battlefield and then puts counters on them, and then you have to like gain life for things. This one is like not great. I'm gonna Kidnissa. I don't recall like actually being all that good. There we go. Dude, I don't care about Nissa. Ob Nixilis. This one can be your commander, but if I recall correctly, this one is actually not all that good. One of the weaker of the commander ones. Sure, you can like make a demon, but like I think I would rather just have a demon. Kind of general, but also kind of generally bad. More Ob Nixilis. Demon Boy. Demon Boy is pretty bad because you have to like kind of want to kill your opponent's creatures in order to like have this do anything. So we're gonna put this Nixilis like there. However, other 5-mana Nixilis, if I can find him. Oh, there you are. Jesus, I don't know how I couldn't see that. It's actually not all that bad. It comes out with 5, can protect itself, can also draw you cards. This one I'll put like it's pretty general. I'll sneak it right around there. There we go. Sneak it right out there. Oko. Cute Oko. Oko's a problem that we can address. Oko. He's hiding from me. Oko's stupid. Oko is incredibly general. Right. Incredibly general, but also incredibly strong. Let's go ahead and see where Oko's legal, shall we? Banned in Standard, Pioneer, Modern, Brawl, and Historic. It's legal in Legacy, Vintage, and Commander. Is Oko played in Legacy? I'm gonna check real quick. I'm gonna keep the video on because I can do what I want. Go to Legacy. On MTG Goldfish, the number 1 deck is Snowco. That might change, but right now, it's Snowco. It's Oko Snow in Legacy. Just gotta check Vintage real quick. Cool. Okay, doesn't seem like there's Oko decks in one of the strongest formats in the entire game. Cool. Oko is easily in this corner. Incredibly general and too strong. I will say though, technically speaking, can I, there we go. Technically speaking, he does lose a few points because he is 2 colors. Whatever. That's ridiculous. Then we got some Rals. Rals. We got a cool Ral Zarek here. OG Ral Zarek is kind of cool. Doesn't really require you to have like anything specific. Can protect itself. Probably like go fashion like one of these. Sure, why not? More Rals. Gotta find those other Rals. Those other Zareks of the Ral variety. Hey, look, it's a Stormman. Stormman does not protect himself. Generally speaking, he's kind of fine though. He does like to combo things. Probably about here-ish. Sure. Talking about there. So this Ral, saw some play in control decks, which means he is more narrow than not. Put him around here. It might be too strong for him. It's probably too strong for him. Let me put him like just around here. There we go. Just hide him, like all of the shame. Rowan Kenrith. She can be your commander. She is partner. She's like cool, but generally speaking, she's probably super narrow. Not weak, like not weak at all. She's definitely weaker than her brother, but they do kind of need each other. And if you don't agree with me, you can bite my ass. Saheeli Rai. which is OG Saheeli, I believe. She cares about like having artifacts and stuff. Doesn't protect herself because of your stuff. Exiles. She's pretty narrow and also not terribly great. Commander Saheeli, for what it's worth, I recognize that she could combo off with something. It's very similar for Karn. I don't like consider that to be something that's against her. This Saheeli can be your commander. Also cares about artifacts. Yeah, I mean, cares a lot about artifacts. She can be your commander, and she is pretty decent from what I recall. But this is like nothing to do with my direct experience. I'm just fairly certain that she's relatively strong. This Saheeli cares about non-creatures, so she's less restrictive than these other ones. And she's seen some play. She's like on the line. Samut the tested OG Samut. There you are. Cares a lot about creatures. Yeah, cares about kind of creatures. Can kind of protect herself. Just generally though, not very good. She's probably about there-ish. About there-ish. Samut Tyrant Smasher is fun in specific combo decks. She does require you to have creature presence, so she is around this area. She is probably about there-ish. Sarkhan. Hey, it's a lot of Sarkhans. Teamer Sarkhan, or Time Sarkhan as I like to call him. Kind of narrow just because of the fact that he is 3 colors. Cares about dragons as well. Adds mana, blah blah blah. Protects himself and can kind of ramp you a little bit. So 5 mana, about there-ish, sure, about there-ish, hidden from the world like he should be. Then we got Sarkhan, the Dragon Speaker. Can become a creature. Doesn't have haste. Oh, it does have haste. Cool. Yeah, I mean this Sarkhan I recall was actually like played a little bit, so I think it's around there. Sarkhan Dragon Man really cares about dragons, and also just isn't the greatest. Not super weak. Probably around this area though. I got another Sarkhan. This Sarkhan, not technically all that narrow. Cares about dragons and Planeswalkers. I guess it's around here. And honestly, the power level is probably around here. This Sarkhan does see some play in very specific decks, so we give it that. Sarkhan the Mad is being hilarious. This, I think, was the first non-plus Planeswalker. Does care about dragons as well, although not as much as some of the others, so probably about here. And in terms of power level, I don't recall this seeing all that much play at all. Probably somewhere in this little void here. I just don't know where exactly. It doesn't, frankly, really matter. Sarkhan Vol, OG Sarkhan, cares a lot about creatures. Fun fact. That said, you know, it wasn't that bad. I don't know, like around here somewhere. Yeah, somewhere around there. Sarah the Benevolent, unfortunately, like doesn't see all that much play. She really like cares about your creatures having flying and stuff, which is just not the best. She obviously, like, she can make a Sarah Angel for like less mana, but where do you need Sarah Angels? It's around here somewhere. It's around here somewhere. I'm gonna be nice and put her like there, I guess. Sorin. Oh god. Okay, there are a decent number of Sorins, but this we're in like the home stretch at this point. Sorin, Lord of Innistrad, I believe that is. Lord of Innistrad was pretty decent. Does require you to have creatures, but not all that much. This Sorin is probably around like here. Yeah, probably around there. Next up is Sorin Sadman, Solemn Visitor. Essentially the same as the other Sorin. Like, honestly, like essentially the same. This Sorin is much more narrow. The 3-mana Sorin, Imperious Bloodlord, much more narrow because it really wants you to be playing Vampire specifically. But it can do very stupid things in a lot of situations. So, you know, honestly, I'll keep it where it is. Cute. 6-mana Sorin can be hilarious and strong, but it does require the triple pips. So probably like around here and probably around there. Sorin Bloodman. Yeah, it's fine. Really want you to be playing creatures that can get back and can see some play. It's about there, sure. Do I have another Sorin in here? Because I'm not paying attention. Yeah, Sorin, some Mad Innistrad boy. Grim Nemesis. Yeah, sure, whatever. 60 mana Sorin can kill things, and you get some life, which is cool. You bob, but you like reverse bob, so not terrible. The unfortunate bit is that I don't recall it seeing all that much play. It's around here. Sure, let's put it about there. Tameo, hey, cool, Tameo. What's up, Tameo? Tameo, this one is pretty whatevs, pretty general. And she did see a decent amount of play, so she's definitely around this pool of five CMC walkers. Let's put her there. Let's have her peek her little head out. Next up, Tameo Field Researcher. She's a little bit more narrow because of her mana cost. I don't remember her seeing play either. I think she's probably around there-ish. Other Tameo, where are you? Hey, Tameo. This Tameo also quite good because of the fact that your opponents can't force you to do things. So immediately she bumps up to around here. She also just like gets stuff back for you. So she's definitely around this area. However, she's not super narrow. I think she's probably around here-ish. There we go. That was all the Tameos. Oh, yay, Teferi, great. All right, Teferi. This one, incredibly general, and also pretty good. Probably around here-ish. Pretty general and pretty good. Teferi, Master of Time. Very similar to the Garrick. This hasn't had time to really shine bright like a diamond, but it really is showing that it's pretty decent. So I'm gonna put it around here. And that's just me thinking it's going to get better. Teferi Temporal Archmage, it can be your commander. It's not narrow, but it's kind of narrow in that, generally speaking, you're doing dumb things with this. So it's honestly probably around here, because if you're playing this card, you're probably doing very dumb things with it. And I know technically that kind of goes against what I said with Karn, but this is my list. It's been an hour and a half. I'm going to say what I want to say, and you can bite me if you don't like it. I know I got more Teferis in here. Oh yeah, Teferi. All right, this fundamentally changes the way that you play Magic the Gathering. So immediately it's on like all the way far strong, and it is also kind of up here in terms of generality. It's around there. Yep, easy. Teo, me say Teo. Teo's cool, but he doesn't really good. I mean, Teo's kind of weak. Yeah, Teo's kind of weak. I'm sorry, Teo. Tezzeret, Ancient really cares about artifacts like a lot. Has a fetish, if I would say so. Really likes the toys. I've lost my mind. The plot is completely gone. I don't know. This is seen play in Modern, if I recall correctly, but it doesn't anymore. So it's probably around here. Yeah, probably around here actually. Artifice Master, where are you? That's not you. That's you. Artifice Master, once again, cares a lot about heaven artifacts. Is around here. Why do I think this would be bigger? Why do I think that I could make any sense? This does not look like anything. This is garbage. I failed as a content creator. Whatever. Tezzeret, the schemer. That's the schemer. Cool. Once again, cares a lot about the things. Once again, does decent about it. He's like lost in the void in here somewhere, dude. I'm very sorry. Tezzeret the Seeker. Wow, cares about artifacts. Can also do dumb things. He's about there. Tezzeret Master of the Bridge. Cares about artifacts. Can do dumb things. He's about there. Yeah, cool. The Royal Scions. This card has seen play. Might see more play. Possibly. Probably around here is where I put them for right now. The Wanderer. The Wanderer. Around. Prevents some damage, which is cool. But other than that, doesn't do all that much. She's around here. Tibble. This one, not that bad to be honest. Have seen play. Might see more play. Oh wait, never mind. This is rotating. Whatever. It's about here. Honestly, for what it does it all right. Tibble. Incredibly general, because he doesn't work with anything. Gain control of all creatures. Damage equals the number of cards. I guess it's not. It also is like double pip. That's also garbage. I love Tibble. He's garbage. Ugin the Ineffable. It's very general. Likes you to have colorless spells, so I'm gonna cut it down a little bit. Gives you like everything you need around here in this little pile. This Ugin, similar to this Karn, except I think that technically this Ugin is a little stronger, and the reason for that is the fact that Karn's abilities they can't like wipe the board immediately, and dealing 3 damage to anything as a plus I think is a little bit better than exiling a random card from your opponent's hand. Venture the Sojourner, kind of narrow, but also kind of not very good. Vivian, Archibald Ranger, she is pretty narrow, dude, and she's actually not all that bad. So she's sneaking her face in there. There we go, little Vivian face. Vivian, Champion of the Wilds, pretty narrow. Also, I don't recall seeing a ton of play, so probably around here-ish. Monster's Advocate. I like this card, so I'm a little biased. Does kinda, yeah, really need you to be playing creatures. So I think she might have to be around here. Has she done anything really? I don't think so. I love her, but I do think she is west of Loathing. Vivian Reed, just OG Vivian, maybe, I don't know, I can't remember anything. Relatively general, to be honest. You do need creatures and lands, but she's probably around this area, and strength-wise, she's probably around this area as well. So we're just gonna just let it land where it lands. Vasco Golgari Queen. Golgari Queen sees a decent amount of play. She's kind of general, but kind of narrow. Probably put her around the line. Probably put her like about there. Sure, why not? I don't know what I'm doing. Vraska Relic Seeker. She does like all the things I want her to do. She's kind of general because she does whatever she wants, and she's decent. Put her about there. Why not? I can do what I want. Cute. Storm's Eminence cares about creatures with Death Touch, and she's not all that good. She's good in the deck, which you might be saying like, well, why aren't you putting? Oh wait, she should be here. Why aren't you putting her with like these other cards over here that are completely lost in the void? That's because these cards aren't as restricted as she is. Yeah, she's there. Let's be honest. Rest of the Unseen, pretty cool, relatively general. Also like in this general vicinity. I put her too far over, but can't really deal with that anymore. Xenagos the Reveler is a loser, but actually isn't all that bad. Probably about cares about creatures you control, so down here, probably about there, let's say. And then, of course, Wrenn and 6. Wrenn and 6 is another one of those stupid cards that's very stupid and does stupid things. Cares about like having lands and stuff, but sure. Also cares about, I guess, instant sorcery. Like, sure. This card is very strong. Probably around there on the narrowness stuff. Cool. This is my thing. What have we learned? I think what we've learned is that the majority of Planeswalkers are fine. Some of the ones that are more narrow can probably be bumped up a little. Some of the ones that are more general need to be toned back. All of these cards can kind of have some nerfs associated to them. And I think the main way that you can restrict a card's power level, not just, obviously, manipulating the pluses and minuses, but also make them harder to fucking cast, dude. Allow it to be like Teferi maybe should have been white, blue, right? It would have necessarily been super hard to cast it in a Azorius deck, but it's going to be a little harder to cast in an Esper deck and a Jeskai deck and a blah blah deck and a blah 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 blah. So making them like that is a little bit easier. For Ugin and Karn, obviously these came out before we had access to colorless mana. Make them cost colorless. Right? Not just generic, make them cost colorless. So, you know, on this scale, right, if we're looking at it by the percentage of Planeswalkers that I think are, like, reasonable to be annoyed by, I think it's kind of this. But this is honestly not all that much. This is actually a sad amount. Like, a lot of the Planeswalkers that are printed, kind of an equal amount are garbage and a little too strong. So I think what we need is when they're kind of bad, make them a little bit better. They're kind of good, make them a little bit worse. The issue, of course, is that Wizard wants to push some Planeswalkers, and that's how you get this. Maybe stop it, make them narrow, make them good. Like my preference is probably around here. and then around here. I actually don't think I want super weak general planeswalkers. I think the general planeswalkers should be like here, and then these ones can be a little stronger. I think that planeswalkers being strong is fine, but yeah. Title. Walk. There we go. This is my garbage tier list. I'm very sorry for all of you who had to sit through this garbage. You can't get your time back. You've lost all of this time. Get bent. I'd like to thank my lovely patrons for the continued support. If you'd like to join them and support the show for some reason, you can do so in the description below. I don't know what I'm doing with my life anymore. Until next time, I'll be one.